Hello guys and welcome back to yet another video. Welcome to day 2 of the self-control series. Today we will be reflecting upon 1 Corinthians 10 verse 13 when it says, "No temptation has overtaken you that is not common to man. God is faithful, and he will not let you be tempted beyond your ability. But with temptation he will also provide the way of escape, that you may be able to endure it." Now, first question, what do we understand from this scripture? First of all, looking at the context, this part of the Corinthians letter was written by Paul to the church over at Corinth. He wrote this to them because he heard that there was a lot of strife, there was a lot of conflict within the church. So in this letter you will find how Paul wanted to teach, wanted to guide the church to be a healthy church and for them to be healthy Christians, to be healthy human beings. And one of the many lessons is this, about temptation, because every Christian, every human being gets tempted in their lives. It says it in the first verse, "We are not alone." The verse says, "No temptation has overtaken you that is not common to man." We are not alone in this struggle, but it is not an impossible struggle. And Jesus, when he came to this world, showed us that, because Jesus was also tempted by the devil himself. Now, being tempted in itself is not bad. When we are tempted by our intrusive thoughts or by the enemy himself, that generally is not bad. It's bad when you do the thing that you are tempted to. But there is a difference, and that is when you tempt yourself. For example, if you are lusting, if you have a problem with lust, and you are on purpose looking at lustful images, women or men that are exposing themselves to some degree, you are tempting yourself to sin, and that in and of itself is basically a sin, because you know that it is wrong and yet you are still doing it. So there's a difference between the two. That is tempting yourself and getting tempted by your emotions, by your intrusive thoughts, by the enemy. Okay, there is a difference there. I just wanted to point out. But yes, what does this verse say about self-control? Second question. Now, this verse says, obviously, that temptation is not impossible to defeat. And when it comes to temptation, there are 4 key things that we need in order to defeat it. That is to endure, as it says in the last portion of this verse, to have self-control, because self-control is vital, and then to rely on God and His knowledge. And we have a perfect example of that, and that is Jesus. Jesus was tempted for 40 days and 40 nights of food. He must have been starving. And that is when the enemy, the devil himself, came to tempt him with bread and riches. It must have been pretty tempting. I mean, he was starving. But what did Jesus do? He endured. He had self-control over his emotions, because as I said, he must have been starving. But he had self-control over what he felt. And then, vital, he relied on God and His knowledge. And when I mean His knowledge, I mean the Bible. Jesus quoted from the Bible. Jesus relied on his love and trust for God, and he wasn't swayed by the enemy's temptation. And that is a prime example of what we should do. That is one of the most important things. That is why it is important, to memorize scripture, to spend time with God. Because as I said in the previous video, the closer you are to God, the more self-control you will be able to have. And the closer you are to God, the more knowledge you know. And the more you know about God and the Bible, the easier it becomes to overcome temptation. Now, I know if we won't always be able to overcome it. We are human, we make mistakes, but that is not an excuse. We must be able to fight as much as we can. Because even when we are weak, God gives us strength. Because God is our comforter, our provider, our refuge, our healer, and our strength. It's not easy, but it is part of our walk with God. And in the end, it'll be much more worth it than to just keep tempting, than to just keep sinning on a daily basis. Now, the third question. How do we apply this to our lives? Technically, I just said it. That is to get closer to God, memorize scripture, and all of that. But there are specifics, First of all, as I just said, memorize the verse, keep it in your heart. If you're struggling with lust specifically, or any other type of sin, okay, this can also be applied to, but don't tempt yourself. If you know that you find certain things attractive or arousing, don't look at them, don't listen to them, okay? And I'm saying look in and listen because it could be videos, that could be music, it could be whatever it is that is causing you to lust. Sin can be applied to anger and many things. Don't on purpose do something that you know will make you angry. Don't on purpose think of things that will make you angry and many other things. There's a difference between being tempted and tempting yourself. But God is with us, and God will forgive us. And again, that's not an excuse to keep saying we must do our best to defeat temptation in our walk with God. And the only way we can do that is thanks to Him. It's not our strength. It's not by our strength that we are saved. It's not by our strength that we defeat temptation. It's purely and firstly of Him. Thanks to Him. Okay? Yes. Sorry if I sounded a bit weird this video. Again, as I said in the previous one, I'm sick. And my mind is getting jumbled, as you probably saw. I got confused several times while making this video, as I just did now. But yeah. Temptation is coming, and we are not alone in this fight. Jesus is even an example of that. He made Himself human to show us that we are not alone in this. And if you are struggling with temptation, firstly, cling to God always. But second of all, if you have access to, go to a community, a church, family, friends that will help you. Not friends that will further tempt you, but help you. Of course, that is if you have access, because I know that some people are truly alone in their walk with God when it comes to people. So that's why, first of all, we must always cling to God first and spend time in His presence. Thank you all for listening. See you on the next one. Bye.